What's up, guys? It is the Friday, April 9th edition of the MMA Junkie Twitter Mailbag. I'm back here in the Fight Sphere. It is beautiful Uncasville, Connecticut that I am located in. We have the Mohegan Sun Tower behind me here. Getting to be nice here in New England for once after a very brutal and long quarantined winter. So I'm excited. We have fights tonight. Bellator 256, Bader versus Machida 2. That's on Showtime at 9 p.m. The main card is. You can watch the prelims on MMA Junkie at 6. And then we also have UFC on ABC 2 tomorrow, Vettori versus Holland. So a lot to talk about. You guys sent in a bunch of questions per usual. Let's get into it, guys. First question comes from Michael Scarn. Does Vettori, based on performance, deserve a title shot with a win? So fighting Kevin Holland tomorrow, not the opponent, the level of opponent, or the position of an opponent in the rankings, I think Marvin Vettori was hoping for. I think, it's kind of a sidestep from Jack Hermanson, maybe a little bit of a step down, at least when it comes to momentum. Holland coming off a loss, Vettori fighting backward. Not an ideal scenario. And as much as I think that this will boost him into a title eliminating fight, I don't think this will give him a title shot. I think Robert Whittaker, if he goes out there and he beats Kelvin Gastelum, you got to give him the rematch. I mean, he was already champion. He's looked pretty damn good since he lost his title. So run that one back. I think that's the fight you need to make. The timing with Izzy would work out well. So unfortunately, Vettori, even if he goes out there and starches Kevin tomorrow, I think he's going to need one more before he gets to fight for the title. All right, so I think that sets us up pretty good for this next question. Nicholas Hawkins asks, what's next for either fighter with a W tomorrow? I think Kevin and Marvin are in totally different scenarios. You know, even if they go out there and win, I don't think it puts them, you can't judge where they are equally. I think if Marvin wins, you got to give him a number one contender fight, and I think that would be probably against Paulo Costa. I think would be the move. I think that would be a fun fight. It would be it would be fun build up. I think the personalities would be interesting to hear some of that trash talk. On the flip side, if Kevin wins, gets him back in the win column, he beats somebody like Vettori. He can't fight Brunson again. I would give Kevin Holland Darren Till, depending on how long Till's going to be out for. I know obviously the collarbone injury might push him out of action for longer than Kevin Holland wants to wait to get back in the cage. But that would be my ideal scenarios for both guys. We'll just have to see how it plays out tomorrow when they step inside the cage. Next question comes from Monday Night Mitch. This weekend's UFC Vegas 23 co-main event pits two Herald prospects who've suffered from inactivity in their career, Allen versus Youssef. What's next for the winner? Let me pull up the rankings here. Very underrated fight, very exciting fight. Nice to see both guys back. Nice to see Arnold Allen finally get somebody that's willing to fight him, and Youssef clear up all the issues that he was dealing with. So that's a really good question. I mean, right now it's 10 versus 11 in the official UFC rankings. So perhaps, what I would like to see is the winner of this fight, Calvin Kattar, when he's set to return. It sounds like Kattar will fight once more this year at the end of the year. So that timeline seems to add up pretty well, and that would be the fight that I'd roll with. Either Allen, Sadiq Youssef, fight Calvin Kattar. Next question is a one championship question from Pro Fights Info. Do you think Demetrius Johnson losing to Adriano Moraes by KO actually brought more eyes to one or less than if he would have won the championship? I think short term, definitely more eyes. I mean, how many people tuned in after the fact? How many people went back and watched the replay or watched the social media clips? So to me, I think as long as you give people something to talk about, and something like that is a massive thing to talk about, you win out in the short term. Now, is it the best thing in the world going forward that Demetrius Johnson, now everybody's seen him get knocked out? Probably not. I think a lot of times when it comes to legends, dominant fighters, there's a certain amount of intrigue. Will he lose this time? Will he lose by finish? Will he get knocked out? Will we finally see something we've never seen before? So I think that mystique is gone, and that could be harmful in the long term. But they still have a star. They still have a legend. They still have one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters ever in Mighty Mouse. So I think that it will help them. It will get people to talk about their brand, talk about the fact they're on TNT, maybe tune in going forward. Final question of the week comes from MMA Flames. What do you think about the Jones and Gann fight? Would the UFC go further with it, or will it take time to be built up in the future if Derrick is next? So I think basically what they're asking, my thoughts on Jones and Gann and Derrick and everything that's going on with him. So ESPN reported recently that the UFC is fine with surpassing Jones, just going right by him and doing the rematch between Ngannou and Lewis. And I'm not surprised by that. I don't know why a lot of people are. I think that the UFC has always been a machine that, if you're not getting on the bus is leaving without you. So I think that's what's happening with Jones. The UFC can afford, I guess, to do this even with their stars. And sure, I don't know the legality of it or the practical nature of it going forward if this were to go on for, another year or something. But I think for now, the UFC is content, I think if anything, it builds, like you said, or you alluded to, it builds the fight between Jones and Ngannou to make it even bigger when they do fight. So unfortunate situation. It's the fight that everybody wants to see, but fingers crossed that Jones and the UFC can come to some sort of agreement and give the people what they want to see. All right, guys, and that does it for this edition of the MMA Junkie Twitter Mailbag. Fight coverage starts at 6 p.m. here at Mohegan Sun, so tune in for that. I will have you covered all night long. And then our coverage actually goes from East Coast to West Coast because my men John Morgan and Ken Hathaway will have your back for UFC on ABC2, which takes place in the day tomorrow, headlined by Kevin Holland and Marvin Vettori. So until next time, guys, please continue to send in your questions and enjoy the fights.